Gwynne's The Fury of the Gods plunges back into the brutal, mythical world of Vigri, continuing the intertwining sagas of Orca, Varg, Elvar, Guver, and Beor as ancient gods awaken and vie for supremacy. The narrative, a relentless torrent of conflict and shifting loyalties, paints a vivid picture of a land teetering on the brink of an apocalypse orchestrated by divine ambition. The story opens with Orca, the formidable shield maiden, still reeling from the murder of her husband, Thorkel, and the abduction of her son, Brekka. Her relentless pursuit of Brekka leads her to the Grimhold, a fortress where she is briefly captured by the Galderman Skalk. Unleashing the wolf in her blood, Orca breaks free, only to discover Brekka is not there, though she finds other tainted children held captive. At Grimhold, she reunites with the Bloodsworn, her former mercenary band, now led by Glornr Shieldbreaker, her murdered husband's brother. Here, they learn of the dragon god Lik Rifa's release from her ancient prison beneath Oskadur. Glornr, seeking his abducted wife Volume, parts ways with Orca, who, hoping for clues about Brekka, ventures to the rat god Rata's chamber. There, she encounters Merc, a dragon-born and sister to Thorkel's killer. After a brutal fight, Orca captures Merc, who agrees to lead her to Brekka. Their journey takes them to Starl, where Orca meets Elvar and the battle Grim, and discovers Mirk's deception. A deal is struck. Mirk's staged escape in exchange for a message to Glornr from Elvar, seeking the Bloodsworn's aid against Lik Rifa. Orca tracks Merc to Nostrandir, Lik Rifa's halls, and then to Svelgarth, a town under assault by Rata's warband. Orca infiltrates the chaos, rescues Brekka, and, tragically, is bitten by a frost spider while escaping, her last act being to hurl Brekka into a river, hoping he'll find safety with her companions. Varg, a former slave now part of the Bloodsworn, carries the profound grief of his sister Froya's death. He seeks a Ser witch to perform an Akal, a ritual to witness her final moments. His journey with the Bloodsworn, revealed to be tainted like himself, leads him to Darl, where Glornr pursues Skalk. They assault Skalk's tower, finding it already under attack by Prince Yaramir of Iskadan. Failing to find Volume or Skalk, they move into Darl's main hall, capturing Prince Hakon, Queen Helka's son. Glornr negotiates a deal: safe return of Hakon for a longship and aid in hunting Yaramir. In Darl, Varg tracks down Brimmel, the slaver who sold Froya. He discovers Froya was sold to Brak Troll's Bane, a huntsman in service to Drekkr. The Bloodsworn sail to Liga, then pursue Yaramir to Iskadan, where they are attacked by parasitic tongue-eaters. They defeat the creatures and learn Yaramir has abducted Volume. At Yaramir's fortress of Valdai, Volume is freed, Yaramir slain, and dungeons full of tainted thralls, Kagan Kirill's children, are discovered. Maps reveal Yaramir's plot to invade Vigri. Elvar, now allied with the mercenary battle Grim, traveled to Oskadur. Their captive Ser witch Uspa, seeking her abducted son Bjarn, promised them treasure. A blood oath binds them. At Oskadur they are ambushed by raven feeders, and the dragon god Lik Rifa is unleashed during a Ser ceremony involving tainted children. Agnar, the battle Grim chief, is deceitfully killed by Beor, Elvar's lover, who is secretly tainted and a raven feeder. Beor orchestrated Bjarn's abduction. Lik Rifa bursts forth, killing 2 of her 3 winged jailers. The survivors scavenge treasure, while Elvar struggles with the oath to rescue Bjarn. Deep within Oskadur's tunnels, guided by the winged warrior Skuld, whom Elvar has collared, they find Lik Rifa's Galdrbach. Uspa discovers a spell to resurrect a dead god. In a forge beneath Oskadur, they craft a thrall collar and resurrect the wolf god Ulfarir, though he remains weak. Elvar, now chief of the battle Grim, travels south, eventually meeting Orca in Starl and agreeing to help her in exchange for the message to Glornr. Elvar continues to Snakovic to recruit her father, Jarl Stor, but he refuses and attempts to capture her and steal her treasure. Ulfarir, in wolf form, devours Jarl Stor, and in the ensuing battle, Elvar slays her brother Thorin, becoming Ser lord of her father's berserkers. Beor, a tainted rat blood, orchestrated Bjarn's abduction and betrayed the battle Grim, freeing their thralls Kraka and Ilmer, then joining Lik Rifa and the raven feeders at Nostrandir. Lik Rifa, recovering from her imprisonment, educates the abducted tainted children. Rata, the rat god, awaits them at Nostrandir. Lik Rifa summons Vaesen, her creations, to her side. Guver, a servant of Skalk and Queen Helka, arrives and reveals their plan to resurrect and thrall the eagle god Ornat to fight Lik Rifa. Beor travels south with Rata's warband to Svelgarth, where he witnesses Orca's infiltration and escape with Brekka, slaying Revna Hairlegs of the Bloodsworn in the process. Guver, a Drengr from Falur village, initially pursued Orca, Leaf, and Mord. At Grimholt, he slew the spider-poisoned Mord. He fled Orca's wolf rage and ended up with Skalk, seeing opportunity. He became entangled in Skalk and Helka's plot, enduring a Hindur being implanted in his veins by Skalk. Skalk commanded him to befriend Prince Haakon, suspecting a plot against the queen. Guvere, still restrained, escaped during Yaramir's attack on Skalk's tower and the subsequent Bloodsworn assault. He infiltrated Haakon's inner circle, discovering Haakon's plot with Drekkr to abduct tainted children. To maintain usefulness, Guvere volunteered to carry a message to Drekkr and Lik Rifa, confessing Skalk and Helka's plan to use Orna against Lik Rifa. In a brazen act of betrayal, Guvere helped orchestrate Lik Rifa's attack on Darl, witnessing his aunt Jarl Sigrun slay Queen Helka, and personally slaying Prince Haakon as Lik Rifa tore Orna to shreds. The stage is set for a cataclysmic confrontation. Varg, recovering from his wounds at Valdai, is stitched up by Rokia, his face now bearing battle scars. He is consumed by the desire to avenge Froya. Volume, recovering from her captivity, offers to perform an Akal for Varg to see his sister's last moments, a promise she made in Rata's caves. Varg accepts, despite his dread. Volume unlocks Eva and Teraz, two powerful tainted thralls of Yaramir, who join the Bloodsworn. A raven, Vesli, arrives with Elvar's offer to hire the Bloodsworn to slay a dragon, a proposition that excites many, particularly Svik, who envisions immense wealth. Glorner, learning that Drekkr's followers killed his brother and abducted his nephew, accepts Elvar's offer. That night, Volume performs the Akal for Varg, revealing Froya's brutal murder by Brak Trolls Bane and Drekkr, solidifying Varg's burning desire for vengeance. Guvere, now a direct servant of Lik Rifa, finds himself constantly navigating the unpredictable moods of the dragon god. He aids in solidifying her control over Darl, witnessing the brutal execution of Queen Helka's loyal Drengrs. He helps orchestrate a brutal Holmgunga between two Jarls, demonstrating Lik Rifa's ruthless demand for absolute fealty. Lik Rifa, consumed by her hatred for Ulfrir, plots his demise. She dispatches Guvere and his aunt Sigrun, along with the Skraeling Krusa and her kin, to hunt down Estrad and Skalk, who have fled Darl. Elvar, now Jarl of Snakovic, grapples with the weight of her new responsibilities and the legacy of her tyrannical father. She trains tirelessly, honing her combat skills with Grend, and reflects on her desire to be different from her father. Her treasure, stolen from Oskadr, is targeted by Ingvild Wave Roamer, a treacherous mercenary. Elvar swiftly pursues Ingvild, engaging in a fierce battle on the docks of Snakovic. Ulfrir and Skuld, now freed from their collars, demonstrate their power, as does Uspa with her Ser. Elvar ruthlessly slays Ingvild, solidifying her authority and sending a clear message to her new warhost. She discovers that Grend, her longtime mentor, is tainted, a secret he kept to protect her, a revelation that deeply wounds her but also challenges her preconceived notions about the tainted. The narrative then shifts to Beor, wrestling with his guilt over his friends' deaths. He's tasked with guarding the tainted children, including Bjarn. Merk, his lover, arrives, cementing his resolve for vengeance against Orca. Rata, having captured Orca, attempts to extract information about Ulfrir's whereabouts through torture, but Orca remains defiant. Only when Rata threatens her loyal Spurtus, does Orca reveal Ulfrir's location, Snakovic, in the skull of Snaka. Rata, now armed with this information, decides to march on Snakovic with his warband to rally with Lik Rifa. Varg, aboard the Seawolf, sails towards Vigri with the Bloodsworn, pursued by Rurik's longships. A strategic mooring of their ships creates a formidable defensive unit. Volume and Eva, harnessing their Ser, create a sea serpent to combat the enemy rune wielders. Varg participates in the brutal ship-to-ship combat, showcasing his growing warrior prowess and unyielding drive to avenge Froya. He is thrilled when Lik Rifa's ships are slowed and shattered by Volume and Eva's combined Ser magic. Orca trains Brekka in shield work and spearcraft aboard Jarl Orlig's longship, which is also making its way to Snakovic. She grapples with the lingering grief of Thorkel's death and the burden of Spurt's preserved body, a promise made to Brekka. Orlig, impressed by Orca's combat skills, offers passage and armor, unknowingly deepening Orca's debt. He reveals he knows she is tainted, but pledges her secret is safe. News arrives that Ulfrir is in Snakovic, thralled to Elvar. Orlig agrees to sail to Snakovic, eager to join forces against Lik Rifa and Rata. Lik Rifa's warhost marches through the Iron Wood, intent on reaching Ulfrir's lair. Guvere, increasingly wary of his monstrous allies, continues to follow Sigrun. They encounter aggressive Froa spirits, native to ash trees, who attack Lik Rifa's forces. Skalk and Estrad, having fled Darl, meet with Lick-Rifa's forces in the Iron Wood, offering information about Ulfrir and Elvar's whereabouts and their strategic importance. They also betray that Ulfrir is thralled to Elvar, a piece of information that delights Lick-Rifa. Skalk and Estrad offer to act as spies within Ulfrir's camp. Elvar, still grappling with Gren's betrayal, considers the next steps. Ulfrir reveals the secret Serp-protected entrance to his Wolfdales, a vast underground complex. He offers to use himself as bait to lure Lick-Rifa. Meanwhile, news of Darl's fall and Orna's destruction reaches them, confirming the scale of Lick-Rifa's power. At a pivotal moment, Elvar, influenced by USPA, makes a radical decision. She frees Ulfrir, Skuld, and all her tainted berserker, and encourages other Jarls to do the same. This bold move, driven by a desire for genuine loyalty and to counter Lick-Rifa's claim as liberator of the tainted, transforms her warhost. To Elvar's surprise, even Estrad releases her Ulfanar. Glornar reveals that the Bloodsworn are also tainted, never truly thralled to him. The final confrontation begins. Lick-Rifa's vast warhost marches on Wolfdales, met by Elvar's newly unified forces. The battle is a maelstrom of steel, magic, and monstrous creatures. Elvar's decision to free the tainted proves crucial, creating a formidable force loyal to her. However, Elvar is betrayed and seemingly killed by her brother Brar, manipulated by Skalk and Rada, sending shockwaves through her army. This act of betrayal leads to a brutal melee within the hall, with Glornar slaying Hallmar Peacemaker and Volume executing Sturla. Ulfrir, witnessing Elvar's fall, unleashes his full power, confirming her truth about his freedom. Rada and Skalk, believing they have gained control of Ulfrir, mistakenly open the gates of Wolfdales, unleashing a tide of night hags and frost spiders. The ensuing chaos leaves Elvar's army reeling, but also allows for unexpected alliances. The conflict intensifies. Varg finally confronts Brak Troll's Bane, his sister's murderer, in a brutal, personal duel. Varg, fueled by rage, overcomes Brak, delivering a fatal blow. The tainted children, including Refna, then enact their own vengeance on Brak's corpse for Einar's death. Meanwhile, Leif confronts Guvair, avenging his brother Mord and their father. Orca corners Drekker, engaging him in a ferocious battle. Using frost spider venom on her blade, Orca weakens him, then, with Brekka, she delivers the killing blow, finally avenging Thorkel. The Fëanor, Ulfrir's ancient allies, arrive, turning the tide against Lick-Rifa's Vaesen. The climax arrives with the horrifying awakening of Sneka, the father of the gods, a massive serpent-like being. Lick-Rifa and Rada, in a desperate bid for ultimate power, resurrected Sneka not to fight for them, but to consume his heart and steal his divine essence. Rada poisons Sneka, and they attempt to carve out his heart, but their plan is foiled by the intervention of Grok and Klo, the ravens. Ulfrir, horrified by his father's desecration, confronts Lick-Rifa and Rada. Orca and Glornar, fighting alongside Ulfrir, scale Lick-Rifa's monstrous form, severing her jaw. Rung, the talking head, is hurled into Lick-Rifa's mouth, poisoning her from within. Lick-Rifa, consumed by Rung's venom, dies. Glornar, mortally wounded in the final confrontation, dies in Orca's arms. With their major enemies defeated, the survivors, including the Bloodsworn and remnants of Elvar's host, regroup. They bury their dead heroes. Glornar beside Thorkel at Orca's homestead, and Elvar in the hull of her beloved Wave Jarl. The surviving heroes, contemplating a new future free from the fear of thrall collars, decide to establish a new home at Orca's old steading, a place where they can rebuild and find peace.